Let's go live. And we are live. Miss McQueen, we are live. Of course, one of us had the start time on YouTube for 7:35. I wonder why that is. I don't know who could have done such a thing. It was me. Anyway, today our focus is on celebration of why and who and what. You celebrate you. The reason I say you and not the accomplishment that you have achieved, accomplishments come and go. They are like dandelions in the wind, but it is you. When you take stock and say, oh, wow, okay, good, I did that, yay, and you throw some confetti, when you do that, remember the ebb and the flow, the law of rhythm. You know, weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Well, what do you think you can draw from to rekindle your accomplishments? You having been the one to say, oh my goodness, I did bring myself through that one, didn't I? And that is what you do with yourself on a daily basis. You find the good things about yourself. And as I tell people all the time, if there's nothing good that you think you can find, well, then there's you, isn't there? Without you, there's no good thing that's in your life. Huh, fancy that. Take the time to look in the mirror and say, yeah, and you pat yourself on the back. I did that. This is good. This is very good. That is what you do on a daily basis. The reason why you want to do it. Listen, people are busy or otherwise engaged in their thoughts. They don't have time to be thinking about you and to be celebrating you because they're too caught up in whatever they're going through. So if you want to be celebrated, you must celebrate you. Again, I'll tell you why. People do a funny thing. If they're the ones to elevate you, they're the ones to necessarily sometimes pull you down for whatever reason. I don't know why. Of course we do. When we spend our time, sometimes when we say, oh, well, look at you. Oh, you think you're this, eh? We get jealous. But jealousy only happens when we forget that we too are capable of greatness. You are capable of greatness. I am capable of greatness. What does greatness look like? Well, that is up to you. If you spend your time trying to figure out what greatness means to George so you can accomplish it, well, then we're going to have problems. You're going to have problems because what's greatness to George might not be greatness to you. So take the time, look in the mirror, and remind yourself, I'm here. And if you can't remind yourself that you're here, the color red will do that for you. Red energizes, but it reminds you that you're here and that you're in this body at this time, right here, right now. We spend so much time, playing that little tiny violin that it is helpful to gaze at your reflection in the mirror and say, yes, I am here. Yes, I am. And I'm going to throw some confetti. Just throw the confetti. And remember mirror neurons. You might not feel like throwing confetti, but if you watch someone throw confetti, well, then those endorphins are also released in your body. And you get to benefit from them. Sounds like a win win to me. So take the time to celebrate you. You. You can celebrate your accomplishments, sure. But remember, the accomplishment doesn't happen if you don't accomplish it. So that's why you spend the time celebrating you. You must. And some people would say, but Angela, isn't that kind of cocky? Isn't that kind of arrogant? Really? You're going to look in the mirror and find something about you and yourself to celebrate. And that's arrogant. I promise you. Look at the amount of times we spend looking for the things to drag ourselves down. Well, do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor and throw some confetti. Because it will work in the same fashion. That pendulum swings to the left and to the right. So if you spend your time, oh, woe is me, well then, nothing will dry you up faster than that. But if you spend that time and say, oh, look at that, I'm doing this. I'm applying the law every day. I'm changing my life. Even when I thought it was impossible to do, look at what I'm doing. That is throwing confetti. That'll get you where you want to go. It truly, truly will. Why is that? Simply because of the law of correspondence. Well, it's all 7. We'll go through them in a minute, but it's all 7. If you have, looking for celebration on the inside and experiencing that celebration on the inside, well, then it is inevitable that you experience the celebration on the outside. The law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. The seed planted is going to obviously show you the fruit that you will harvest. Why fruit and not vegetables? I often wondered about that. You'll know a man by his fruit. The disciples. And Jesus said, well, you'll know. You'll know them by their fruit. Because fruit is usually sweet, eye-catching, tasty. You don't have to do anything with it but pluck it, rub it on your shirt, and eat it. That's fruit. Vegetables, if there's sugar snap peas, well, but then those are legumes, not vegetables. And you can eat those raw. You can eat your carrots raw. You can eat your broccoli raw. But they're not as tasty as fruit. The fruit is sweet. So that tells you that what you bring forth should be sweet to you. This is why you celebrate. There's no shame in throwing confetti for yourself. How else will people know that they're supposed to throw confetti if you don't tell them? You set the example. You set the tone. And the reason, again, that you celebrate is because of that ebb and flow. There's not every day that you're going to be, wee. You're not going to be that way every day. Because that would be emotional. Lost in emotion, right? That'll be emotion. But if you live by way of law, you will know there's always a reason to celebrate. Because the law tells us that there is. Mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. As within, so without. As above, so below. Correspondence. Everything vibrates. Nothing stands still. Between two poles. Not because they're opposites. The thing on the left and the thing on the right are exactly the same. And it is the vibration, the rate at which it moves, that identifies to you where you are. And that shows up as a feeling because it's vibrating, yes? And that's what vibrations do. Marky Mark, just a good vibration, right? The vibration tells you which way the pendulum is swinging. And the way that pendulum swings, it'll swing in a particular rhythm. Yes, they're called habits. So you see exactly when you start and when you finish so you can start again. That is rhythm. But that rhythm now creates a cause. It'll cause you to do something based upon, remember, the vibration. So however it is you feel, It's how you'll act. Yes. And that cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Why? Because you are projecting, which is masculine. You are projecting your intention. You are projecting your will. You are projecting your desire outward. That is the whole purpose of projection. Where are you projecting it? Into the womb of creation. So that you can do what? Get an effect back. So the womb is feminine. It gathers and puts together your projection. This is why you must reap what you have sown. And I read somewhere the other day, somebody said they were afraid of reaping what they've sown. They think it's the most cruel thing. And I'm like, wait, what? Examine that. Why would you think to reap what you have sown would be a bad thing? See why celebration is important? Reaping what you've sown puts you in the driver's seat. It reminds you, you reap what you sow. So plant accordingly. Who has more power? You do, when you know that the things you plant are the things you will bring to harvest. And it also lets you know, Neville Goddard would say, revise. What does revise mean? Redo it. If you look at that harvest and you say, ooh, that stings a little bit, yikes, revise. What would you prefer to happen instead? Then begin with that image. And you do that instead, thereby bringing about a different harvest, a more desirable harvest. So this is why you celebrate. You celebrate because you're not stuck. Oh, it feels like you're stuck, but the law says what? Everything is moving. So you celebrate the fact that everything is moving, so I can change. I'm not stuck in a rut. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not stuck. I can change. I can pivot. I can move because everything is moving. That is why you celebrate. You celebrate because you have the ability to look at a situation and go, oh, I would like to experience, and you name it. Can you see it? Because once you see it, oh dear, it'll make you do something. That image, that cause for celebration will make you dance to the music. Yes, Queen Red Pill, it will make you dance. And so when you do that, you are now in correspondence, or as Dr. Joe Dispenza likes to call it, heart-brain coherence. The thought or image in your mind matches the sensation in your body. And when those two things match, well, then the harvest has to match those two things. The seed that has been planted. So you see, celebration is not something that you do for shits and giggles. Some would call it gratitude. But what if the thing you say you wanted to create, allegedly, did not come to fruition? Well, then you won't be grateful. So you see, gratitude has nothing to do with the things that you have. Gratitude has to do with what you know. And what do you know? You know mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. That's what you know. And because you know that, think about it. If you have been wandering around in the dark and stubbing your toe day in and day out, ooh, and wishing things got better, well, I wouldn't celebrate then either. But when you know the law, you understand you don't have to wish, you don't have to hope, you just apply. This is the beauty of what we've been given just by the fact that we know those 7 principles that govern all of creation. They bring peace because that's the seed they plant. peace. So tell me again, well, there's nothing in my life I can celebrate. It's all going to hell. Hmm. Well, the good news is this, according to Scripture, neither height nor depth can separate you from the love of God. I always change God because we're not talking about little g, we're talking about the law. And you know as well as I do, they're not one and the same. But I digress. I digress. The law is cause for celebration. And you'll notice that it's not a celebration that wanes, you know. It's funny, the law creates change and it remains the same. A catalyst. It'll create change. Shoot, it governs change because everything moves. This is law, the law of vibration. Nothing stands still. It moves. Now what is it doing? It moves from where it is to where it is going in a particular rhythm because and effect. Based upon what you project outward. And that projection is the image you hold. What you deem to be true, what you deem to be true is what causes you to act in a particular way. That thing could be a lie. But so long as you believe it, it is how you act because you believe it to be true. So it doesn't matter what you hear, it's how many times you hear it that causes you to know a thing. Because the thing you know, again, is what you will project out into the world. And when you project it out there, you must have a response. You must have an effect. You must reap a harvest. So the reason we celebrate today is not because of the things. We don't celebrate because of the Bugatti. Pfft, I just say it because it's a nice word. You know, it's a Bugatti, yes? Probably hand-stitched leather seats. Who knows? But at the end of the day, all things fade away. Everything that has a beginning has an end, Neo. All things fade away, except the law. It remains. So would you hitch your anchor to something that has the ability to wax and wane, or do you want something that remains? You see, when you know the law and you apply it, now here's the beautiful thing. We are always applying it day in and day out. We are always applying the law day in and day out. We cannot break the law. I don't encourage you to try either. The law does not change. The law governs change. So it will always remain the same. Yesterday, today, and forever. It doesn't change. But the first thing you'll hear, well, the God of the Old Testament is not the God of the New. Well, does God change or does he remain the same? Questions. But this is the point. We celebrate because we know the law. That's why we celebrate. Not because we've accomplished something. Because as I said, things fade. They come and they go. But the law remains. And that is where you draw your strength from. You draw your confidence. You draw your passion from the law. Well, I'll say it this way. It brings it out of you. Because everything changes, right? It brings it out of you. The more time you spend being aware of the law and staying in alignment consciously with it. How do you stay consciously in alignment with the law? By examining the harvest you bring in. right here, right now. Not tomorrow's harvest, because we haven't gotten there. People usually ask, tell me my future. Well, your future is dependent upon what you do now. What else can it be dependent upon? Because every cause has its effect, and every effect its cause. So that's what determines the future. Your present behavior right here and right now. So if you allow yourself the space and the time and the effort and the energy to dance to the music, move to the beat of your own drum. Aw, sweet Brian, hello. That's my cue. Let's take a moment to welcome everyone to the space, shall we? Twitter, who's here? Oh, well, hello. Um, Dreamy Shay. Is it Shay or Shy? I never remember these things sometimes. But I see you. Hello, Jeff. Geck. Hey, I see you all here on Twitter. And for the replay gang on Twitter, Lilith and Cuddles. I see them. Muck45. I do. Who's here on Fanbase? Good morning, Matthias. He's off to see the kidlets today and teach. Much love to you. LaTroy, welcome to the Space Flow. Smiles, L, Miss McQueen, Yolanda, Zola, and of course, our beautiful Summer Rose. I don't see her yet, but I always say her name. Because how can I not? I love saying her name. Anywho, I didn't do Facebook this morning because for some reason, a connection could not be established. Well, you know how it is. So I went where the connection was. YouTube, Twitter, and Fanbase. Ruby, darling, I see you. Brian. Oh, I see you too, Brian. Queen Red Pill. uh, you know, when I set up the next live, I always have to choose the time. And I've started to think in Eastern Standard Time. I'm not in Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Mountain Time. So I put 7:35. Oh, dear. Yes, it's actually 5:35. So thank you, Queen Red Pill. Thank you for that. Anot, Goddess Pure Diamond. Good morning, Marjorie. Ayapo. Oh, you're washing dishes. Well, yes, Ayapo. Nothing worse than a wet keyboard. You're such a bad boy. The better man. I see you. I see you. Sugar visions. Hey. Omnipresent, are you? Anywho, what I'm saying to you this morning, it is such a privilege and a pleasure to see you all here today. And it's a Monday, right? A beautiful Monday. Celebrate. And that celebration has nothing to do with what you have, what you've acquired, what you plan to acquire. No, 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 no. Because think about it. If you don't acquire that thing, you feel kind of sad and disappointed. But here's the beauty of the law. The beauty of the law tells you you can create. That's what the law says. So you don't have to be sad about things because you create. What are you creating? You create based upon who you are, your likes and your dislikes. Remember, we've learned to like things and we've learned to dislike things. Jeez. we've learned some things, haven't we? I laughed because I just had a flashback of the grocery store, and I was just walking down the aisle with my son. I'm like, I gotta find this thing. And these two old men walked by. I said, well, what are you looking for? I'm like, I'm looking for cotton candy. And they're like, well, they usually have it. I've seen it. And they start talking to me about cotton candy. And I'm thinking to myself, these men must think I'm nuts. Like totally off my rocker. But I'm like, I'm sure I'll find the cotton candy. And he goes, well, if you don't find it there, I know you can find it at whatever store he mentioned. I forgot. And I said, well, thank you so very much. Anywho, he giggled, and so did I. It couldn't have been more than 70 or however. But again, I digress. You celebrate. And you throw the confetti. Regardless of if you think, oh my God, they're going to totally think I'm crazy. And what of it? You must remember mirror neurons are always at work. If you are smiling and laughing, if somebody observes you doing that, their body will release the endorphins. Just poof, fireworks. Their body will throw its own confetti by way of endorphins. Now, the other side to that is we have the ability to override it. We have the ability to look at somebody being happy and go, ugh, happiness, scourge. We have the ability to do that. We can override things. But the next time you're tempted, when you look at somebody who's having a good time, the next time you might be tempted to go, oh, scourge, or, Scrooge, right? I encourage you, allow your body to do what it naturally does. It will throw its own confetti for you. Thereby giving you a reason to celebrate, right? To remember, oh, look at that. Even if I feel sad and I don't feel like smiling, if I observe a smile, I'll feel better. See? And sometimes the first thing we say is, somebody's always out to get me to rain on my parade. No, there's nobody out there raining on your parade. Nope, no punishment, darling. But there is somebody throwing confetti. Well, of course there is. If you observe the confetti being thrown, your body will throw its own confetti. It will release endorphins. So if you want to remember what endorphins are the confetti. Whee! The good time. Every single cell in your body will do that. And it will make you feel better in your body. So you see why you celebrate? Because the law always is. And without the law, quite frankly, we could not be. We can't be here if the law is not. The law governs creation. It governs the process of creation. This is why creation will happen the same way every time. Plant a seed, reap the harvest. Creation. Plant the seed, reap the harvest. That is creation over and over and over again. And that's why we celebrate. We celebrate because we know that law. We celebrate because of the law. As I mentioned before, it brings peace of mind. Think about it. You're going through whatever it is. And they tell you, oh, look for the light at the end of the tunnel. This too shall pass. But you don't just say things because you can talk. Say things because you know. What do you know? You know that if the situation you are in is undesirable, it is not there as a punishment. It is there because you did something. And I know sometimes we want to say, no, I didn't do that. I would never do that to myself. We have to get past the word blame, fault, judgment. Nothing will stop you. Nothing will be a thorn to you faster than those three things: judgment, blame, and fault. If you spend your time saying, that's your fault, you won't see your behavior. And when you see your behavior without judgment, you can change your behavior. But if you don't see the thing that is the stumbling block, how will you ever walk in a straight line? You have to see the thing that's tripping you up, or else you'll be tripping all the time. That's why these things happen. They don't happen to punish, they happen because you did something. If something is happening, you know there is a cause. Nothing happens randomly. So don't look out into the world and go, oh, the universe is against me. The universe cannot be against itself. What does that mean? You are part of the universe. Well, you're all of the universe, actually. You're not a part of. Because then that would mean the universe isn't whole. You're the universe. And a house divided against itself cannot stand. So it is not against you. It's not punishing you. We have bodies. We have behaviors. So look at the behavior. Don't judge it. You look at it and go, oh my God, I keep doing the same thing all the time. And as I said to you, I will tell you the same thing every single day because faith comes by hearing. When you begin to see the things that are unfolding in your life, you are not powerless. The power is having the ability to recognize what's going on. This is what it is. Do you believe that true love never dies? All of my family members are on the other side, but they're still guiding me, communicating, and loving me daily. But energy can't go anywhere, right? You can't break it down. So, of course, they're still there. And I was just saying that to myself the other day. My grandfather's been gone for quite some time, since 2017. But through his wisdom and his guidance, he lives on. The energy hasn't gone anywhere. If I say, Granddaddy, I'm sure he'll answer. Right? So they may leave us because everything that has a beginning has an end. You know, it's inevitable that we relinquish our bodies. It's coming. Later. Later. Much, much, much later, yes? But how do you want to live? We think being here right now is, as the popular phrase would be, some kind of punishment, some kind of prison. No, perspective is everything. We have the ability to change where we are. Everybody's busy trying to escape and bust out of the matrix. Then it is far easier to build something new. I'm just making an observation. Think about it for a moment. Think about it for a moment. You have this thing that is no longer functional, this building, it's in ruins. Are you going to go and beat it to the ground into dust because you want something new? Well, then you need a new space. A new space is required. That is why it is easier to build. And think about it. When you're ripping something down, yes, that usually is followed by feelings of loss and fretting and worrying. But when you build, there's an excitement, there's a joy. Is there not? Huh. Just an observation. It's just an observation. The only facts I know are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. Those are the facts. I know those. Right? Here, put my glasses back on so I can see. But I trust these things make sense to you today as to why you celebrate. Why would you have gratitude? Some people have gratitude journals. Yes, I used to do it too and say, well, I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for that. But if I don't have it, am I ungrateful? Mm. That's what happens when you put your attention on the things. The law isn't a thing. The law is. It is. And the reason why it doesn't have a name besides the law is because you can make it into anything. The law simply is. Thus we are. And as I told you before, we are always in alignment with law. You do something, an effect happens. You can't not do it and have an effect. You must have a cause. So you see, the law is always on, and we are always in alignment with it. But to do it consciously now means that you look at your life and you assess it and you say, oh, I like this. I'll keep that. Oh, I don't like this. What would you prefer instead? Begin to do that behavior. And if that's becoming your new lifestyle, well, then you can't get tired of doing it. Right? So we do it. See what the law does for us on a daily basis? The law is absolutely fantastic. Again, it does not matter what you are going through. It doesn't matter. Look at it. You can't run away from the thing. The thing is being, listen, I saw this video once of this little girl. She couldn't have been more than, she just learned how to walk, so about 2. And they took her outside, and she saw her shadow, and it scared her, and she tried to run away from it. It was funny, right? Because she's totally in a meltdown. This thing is following her. She can't get rid of it. Because she doesn't understand. She's the one casting the shadow. She's the one in the light, casting the shadow. So you see, when you don't know that about yourself, when you don't know that you're the one, that you're the cause, you run through life, running from, but you can't run from you, but you can change you so that the reflection in the mirror or the shadow changes. You don't have to do it the same way. You don't have to be the same way your entire family was. You don't have to do it the way they did. Sure, there's some things that are valuable, some traditions. We call them traditions, they're habits. They're the things we do the same way every time. It's a habit. You can dress it up however you want with tradition, but if you're doing a thing the same way every time, habit. And so with habits, you don't have to stick with them because everybody did it the same way. It does not mean you have to continue doing it that way if you deem it to not be satisfactory any longer for you. What's good for the goose is not always good for the gander. Because it worked for them doesn't mean you have to continue on in that same fashion. This is why knowing who you are is important. And this is why we celebrate. Because, again, you don't have to stay stuck with a quote-unquote generational curse. It is not a curse. It is a habit. Something you were taught to do the same way every time. What do you do with a curse? You got to find an Obeah man. As they say in Barbados, you got to find a voodoo man. You got to find a shadow man. Like, what are you going to do with the curse? But if you see it for what it is, a habit, now you can do something. Some perspectives keep us trapped, you know. If you were here last week, you know that some perspectives can keep us trapped. Not because they're bad, but they are what they are. We learned them. And the law tells us we have the ability to learn, to grow, and to change. That is what the law shows us day in and day out. I've whittled it down. There are 7 principles. Mentalism. The universe is a mental creation. Everything starts in the mind. We cannot escape it. Why? The mind is not to be confused with the brain. Your mind is the awareness of your brain. That's what mind is. Awareness of yourself. Who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. That is the mind. The brain is an organ. It has form. The mind is formless. That's the thing to know. The awareness. Who who knows these things? Okay, I know this is my pinky, but who knows it's my pinky? Who's the one saying? Well, it'd be Angela. That's the name my granny gave me. So who did she name? That's the awareness. Your body is the name. Your awareness is that you are in the body. Arms and legs, you're aware of those. That's your body. So who is aware? That's why the mirror exercise is so important. Now, you can't let it scare you, though, because sometimes people get scared when they gaze into their eyes in the mirror. When you look into the mirror, you are seeing your reflection. Your body is there in the mirror. It's showing you, hey, this is my body. You see your eyes, your nose, you see your butt. You see yourself in the mirror. Who is seeing your body reflected in the mirror? Mm. So if you spend some time and look into your eyes, just stand there and gaze into your eyes. That's it. Just don't breathe, of course, and gaze into your eyes, and you will begin to see. You will see. You will see, right? Yourself. Oh, I'm not. You're seeing your body, but the longer you gaze at your reflection in the mirror, you will see yourself. The body will fade away. It'll, you'll zone out, and you'll see yourself. Who's the one looking at your body? Oh, come now, not your eyes. Your eyes are organs. Who's looking through your eyes? That is the mind. That is your awareness of yourself. That is spirit. The formless. The formless. Neville Goddard calls it your 4th dimensional self. Sure, that can be a lot to take on. You're looking at your hands. You ever seen babies? When they look at their hands, they're like, wait, I have hands? Like, I have hands. And they're like, what are these things? I'll put them in my mouth. And that's all they're aware of. They're like, oh, there's these hands. But who is aware? That is your awareness. That is your spirit. That's the part of you that uses your body to bring about change. Ponder that for a bit. This is the beauty of the law. This is why we celebrate. Because now we're not just walking around thinking that we're nobody. We're not just walking around thinking, oh, woe is me in the world. Oh, look at the condition of the world. We're not walking around doing that. If you walk around with the understanding that you are formless, but by way of the law of correspondence, the formless has to take form because that's where we are. It's just a matter of vibration that tells you if you're formless or form. Formless moves faster than form. Form is slow. It is matter. That's why the universe is a mental creation. You are aware. That's what you celebrate. You celebrate knowing that you're not just this thing, oh, well. No, you celebrate the fact that you know what you know now. And because you know it, you can walk as a free person. You're not held captive by your thoughts. You're aware of them. Oh, you're not held captive by anybody or anything because you cannot be. But if you believe yourself to be captive, then you must be because it is law. When you say, I am, that is law. Because I am will cause you to do something which brings about an effect. So now you see why you celebrate. You celebrate because you know the law. We start out by celebrating our accomplishments. Of course. Oh, look, we can walk, we can talk. You celebrate those things, sure. But sooner or later, you will rise above those things to know that you are the creator of them. You are the creator of them. Esther Hicks says we're co-creators. Of course, there's 8 billion people on the planet, and everybody's creating. So if every body, not everybody, but every body, George, L, Flo smiles, every body. There's 12 bodies on YouTube right now. There's 10 bodies in Fanbase, and there's 3 bodies on Twitter. Bodies. And we're creating. So every body is creating. Thus, we are co-creators. So when you know that and you celebrate it and you look at it and you say, oh my God, I am capable of more. Yeah. Now you will take yourself from the bowels of depression. When you recognize, wait, I don't have to stay down there. I don't have to stay in the dark. I don't have to wallow. No, you don't. Use the law. You recognize where you are now and what you are doing, because from there, you can see where you want to be and what you would prefer to be doing. That's why you don't lie to yourself. You don't deceive yourself. Because if you plant deceptive seeds, you're going to reap a deceptive harvest. So you might as well be honest and go, you know what? I'm not loving it so much right now. I don't really like where I'm at right now in life. Well, where are you and what are you doing? Well, I'm here and I'm doing this, 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 and this, and I feel stuck, blah, blah, blah. You can work with that. Now, what would you prefer to be doing? Where would you prefer to be? Notice the question was not, do you think it is possible? Clearly, if you move from, you have to move to somewhere. So all things are possible. They are possible. Nobody's withholding anything but us. We can hold ourselves in a position of undesirability, right? We can hold ourselves in a position of undesirability for an extended amount of time because A, we might not know how to move from it, or it's been a habit for so long that you stay there because you're comfortable there. We call it the comfort zone. But in actuality, your comfort zone is the habit. Your comfort zone is your habit that you feel so sure of, so secure in. And this is why we celebrate. Because if you look at the habit and you don't want to be there, Lilith, and you don't want to be in that habit anymore, you now have the capacity to change it because you know what a habit is. A habit is something you do the same way every time. So then what does that tell you? It tells you if you get up in the morning and say, oh, well, that old habit just won't do. It tells you that you can get up and do a new thing a new way every time. You know, the new thing, do it, do that. And it will become your new habit. So you see, you're not stuck. That's why you celebrate the law. You celebrate it because you are free. That's why you celebrate. You celebrate because you are free. And what sets you free? The law does. I see new faces in space. So that's our cue to say, what is the law? What are these laws? The 7 Hermetic principles. They're the laws of creation. And Hermes, or not to be confused with Hermes, Hermes, Thoth, the Atlantean. He was summoned. And he was given these laws. And he said, I will teach them to humanity. That's why we have the word, oh, look, that thing is hermetically sealed. Hermetically? But of course, what does it mean to be hermetically sealed? It means the truth of something has been preserved. It has not been tainted. It is in its pure form. That's how it's been kept. Hermetic. So, mentalism, the all is mind. Everything starts there. Correspondence, the thing in the mind, is what you have to see on the outside. So as above, so below. Where's that in nature? We have leaves and branches above. We have roots below. Now, vibration, everything moves. Nothing stands still. Everything is moving. Oh, sure, it looks like it's not because it's moving so fast. Or it looks like it's not because it's moving so slow, but everything is moving. Everything moves. And it's moving between 2 poles. Polarity. It does not mean that there's 2 things that are opposed. No. Something is on the left, something is on the right. They are the same, though. And it moves in a rhythm. We all know what rhythm is. Not just the beat of the drum. No, high tide and low tide. Night and day, seasons, those are all rhythms. We have our rhythms. Our habits, our way of doing things. And every cause has its effect, and every effect its cause. And to project is masculine. I am projecting at the moment. You, receiving, are feminine. I know that's a little tricky sometimes. It's not the same as male, female. Male, female is a thing, gross matter. Masculine, feminine is formless. It moves in a particular fashion. Masculine is projected outward. Feminine receives. Formless. Male, female are form. But that's what we do on a daily basis. Mozinga. Mm. Yes, Mozinga says, get so in the zone that when you lift your head up, you realize the way you've walked and then celebrate. But of course, that is the beauty of the law. You are free. I know the big thing nowadays, everybody's saying, oh, we got to escape the matrix. Build new. Look at where you are now and what you're doing. I'm talking to humanity in general. Look at where we are now and what we're doing. Do we deem it satisfactory? Well, then continue. If we deem it unsatisfactory, what would we prefer? And that, the preference, that is what you build. You build. It is easier to build. Again, that's my opinion. It is easier to build. But that is the beauty of the law, my friends. I'm not going to keep you long. Isn't that what a preacher always says? 3 hours later. No, we're not going to have that today. So, remember, tonight we're with Lance. I don't know what Bible story we're doing just yet. I don't know. If you have a suggestion, holla at your girl. Let me know what kind of Bible story. Why the Bible? Because it does not matter what holy book you can put your hands on. The law was there before any holy book. All holy books have the essence of the law within them. And if you look, you will find the law and you will change your life by way of law. And you won't get caught up. A story has always been used to transmit knowledge, to send things. That's why stories are used. And that's why the scripture can say, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. It doesn't mean that, oh, you're not deaf. It doesn't mean that. It means, do you comprehend what you heard? Did you comprehend it? Did you understand it? That's what that means. So we talk about a Bible story every Monday with Lance Scurv, right here on YouTube. We do. And it is always, the questions are always beautiful. They really are. Because people are eager to learn and understand. And we just look for the law. We just really do. Oh, that scripture just came to the mind. Where is Cyber this morning? Romans 6:23. Romans 6:23. The gift of God is eternal life. It'll come to me. Pretty sure that's what it is. Um. Oh, Ayapo, what are you saying to me? I'm I'm an okay keyboard. I'm okay on keyboard and guitar right now. In a few months, I'm going to be an excellent player. But of course. So how does he know? How can he predict the fact that he's going to become an excellent player? Cause and effect. Because he practices. The effect is excellence. Every single time. So you see why you celebrate the law? Because it doesn't matter what you practice, good, bad, or indifferent. But it is suggested that you practice the good things. Why? Because the effect of practice is excellence. That is the beauty of the law. And I encourage you on a daily basis to be aware of the law. If you remember nothing, remember this: mirror neurons. Mirror, mirror, reflection. Yes. When you go out into the world, mm, if you walk with a scowl on your face, the person observing the scowl, whew, they'll scowl too. Unless, of course, they can override themselves. We all have the capacity to override. But it works the same way. If you're walking down the street and you're the one scowling and somebody smiles, Because you observe the smile, as within, so without. It doesn't, and it's also the law of gender. Remember, they projected the smile outward. And a funny thing happens to your body when you observe it. You throw confetti, you release endorphins in your body. And all you did was look at a smile. So you see, the law of vibration, because a smile makes you feel good, it lifts your mood, doesn't just lift your cheeks, right? Hey, right? It makes you feel good physically. So go with that. Look at how everything has been designed for you to thrive and to succeed. Everything. If you walk by, hello, Delroy. Oh, I'm coming, Delroy. I'll answer that question in a second. Even if you walk down the street and you see rose bushes, summer rose, even if you do that and you smell them, you're going to release endorphins because roses are beautiful. And we think it's just because they look nice. No, it's the sense of smell. Touch a rose petal. Hmm, that touch, that velvety feel in your fingers, right? They do something to your body. Oh, believe me. What's the first thing people do when they go to a hotel room? They sprinkle rose petals all over the place. Why? Because it causes a physiological response inside your body. That's why. And that is law. Delroy is saying, please explain the scripture of vanity. Now, this is Solomon, King Solomon. Because we spend so much time as people wanting to acquire things. We want to acquire things. And didn't Diogenes, I'm pretty sure that's his name, he when they were doing his funeral procession, I think his hands were outside of his casket. They were just open hands. And so he's saying to you, because he said it before he died, you can't take anything with you, right? But we spend so much time chasing and to acquire and to amass. For what purpose? Because at the end of the day, it is not the things. This is why vanity is the word. It is not the things. You're so vain. It's not the things that you acquire that bring peace of mind. And truthfully, that's what all humanity wants, peace of mind. But we have been convinced that the more you have, the better you are. When in actuality, if you go back in Elizabethan times, you know, the king, they usually suffered gout because they ate such rich foods. But the quote unquote peasant who ate what we would call in Barbados ground provisions, you know, your vegetables, your fruit, they ate those. So they lived longer. Any any monk will tell you the same thing. They live in caves. He just said, oh, the government said to him, why don't you come and open up a school and teach Tai Chi? And he was like, oh, okay, when I'm done teaching, I will leave them to run it. But I'm going back. The simplicity of things is the way to go. That's why Solomon, because remember, Solomon amassed so much, not because he went out to get them, but because his wisdom and the way he thought and the way he behaved preceded him. And so people said, oh, what manner of man is this? And so they brought him things. They brought him things. Queen of Sheba, oh Lord, she brought him a lot of things. Spices, oh yes, she did. He didn't ask for riches. He didn't seek riches. He sought wisdom. Why? Because with wisdom, clearly, you can bring about any change. He was one of the most peaceful kings, more peaceful than his father David. Why? Because he always found the way that was higher than material. He went the formless route. He used the mind. And that's why people brought him things from far and wide. So vanity would be this endless pursuit of things, the acquisition of things. And then we end up with more, more, more. You end up with that. And then what good will that do you? Because Solomon also did say, oh, fine, you spend your time amassing all of these things. But when you die, somebody who did not even work for them, they have no care about how you acquired it, will fritter it away. That is what happens. We want to leave a legacy for our children. Yes. But those who have no idea what it took to acquire it, it's just something to use for them, so they will use it up. Vanity. Delroy, I trust that made sense. If not, let me know. So, anywho, celebrate the fact that you know the law, and that with the law, you can grow to the height, you can burrow down to the depth like bamboo. Mm-hmm. See, bamboo is beautiful, you know. We can learn a lot from bamboo. If you've been here for a while, you know bamboo. It takes about 4 years for anybody to even know bamboo's been planted. Nothing shows on the surface. It's just an empty field. Serious. It's just an empty field for 4 years. But the roots spend 4 years anchoring and burrowing. This is why bamboo will bend. Because it can. It has the stability. That's what you spend your time doing. The things that are unseen in your spirit. You burrow down, you learn, you grow, you master your mind. That's what you do. Because why? After that 4 years, bamboo goes to maturity in 60 days. 6-0. Boom. Nothing to 60 days, and you've got this field of bamboo. You'd be a happy panda. That's what happens. And it's the most resilient, and it's a weed, you know. It's grass, bamboo. It is. But it is sturdy. You can't really get rid of it because the roots go so far down. You poison it, it'll die. Yes, because the roots will soak it up. But you burn it to the ground, the roots are there, it'll come back stronger than ever. Be resilient like bamboo, which means spend time in what people say is, the darkness. Not as in evil, but as in look at the dirt. The dirt. What does it do down there? That's what meditation is. Neville calls it the silence. That's where you spend your time. That's where you spend the time. So when you say, oh, well, I require this, boom, you create it. You don't chase anything. Yes, Queen Red Pill. You do that. Thank you very much. I'm going to get outside too. So I think that's it today. Hello, Donovan, darling. I do believe that's it. But we do play the bowl. So if you want to pop over to YouTube, because I'm going to play the bowl. But let me read Ayapo's joke first. One spring morning, 2 trees were talking, and they said of a third tree, good, I thought he'd never leave. Yes, I got to tell my boy that one. I thought he'd never leave. Shoot. Ayapo, what am I going to do with you? Laugh, right? That's what we'll do. Anywho, Twitter, if you want to pop over to YouTube, we're going to hit the bowl. Fan base, thank you all for being here. You can come over too. I know Flo Smiles, Sugar Visions. I know she already here. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3. Yes, Gek and Lilith. Oh, you've been amazing. I love you. Thank you for being here. On Twitter. Twitter is closed. 2. Fanbase. Donovan, Darnell, Smokin', LaTroy, Miss McQueen L, Flo Smiles, Yolanda, Zola. Thank you all for being here. I love you. I'll see you on YouTube. We're going to hit that bowl. And if you don't know what we're talking about, why don't you come over? The link is in my bio under Positively Angela. And you'll find me on YouTube because we're live right now. Peace out, fanbase. Fanbase is closed. There you go. Fanbase is closed. Let me go here and pop into the chat on YouTube. And go in here. And then remember to like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, Zola's there. All right. Zola is here. Let's go here like this. And the bowl.